Happy October once again, boys and girls, and for a couple of family horror movies, a little bit on the spooky sides, but also quite family friendly and playful. You could do worse than go for the original Halloweentown from 1998 and also Mr. Boogedy from the late 80s. Two recommended treats for the season for all the family, and both films are available on Disney Plus. So first of all, Halloween Town, where Debbie Reynolds works her little magic, her sort of sprinkle dust. So it is a bit of a family staple, a family classic, at least of its genre. It was a made-for-TV Disney movie from the late 90s, and the story is then you have a single mother with her younger children. One of them, Marnie, is at a particular age where she's started to become more interested in otherworldly things, interested in the spookier side of things, and for some reason the mother has a cynical side to her when it comes to the holiday of Halloween, and is really down on the idea of Marnie like experimenting and getting excited about the season. And emotions are stirred up even further when the grandmother Debbie Reynolds comes for a visit, and she is like the complete opposite. She is bringing all sorts of treats with her for the kids, encouraging them to embrace the season. And the mother isn't very pleased with this. They haven't seen the grandmother for a year, and the mother is holding some secrets back. She says to the Debbie Reynolds character, you can read them a bedtime story, but please no telling them about your past. So this is when we later learn that it's a family tradition. Then on the 13th Halloween, that's when you start your witch training, and it's the 13th year for Marnie right now. But once again, the mother is guarding against that and sort of putting her feet down. But anyway, the Debbie Reynolds grandmother reads them the story of Halloweentown. She's got a nice book on her, and she introduces them to this world, which obviously makes the mother upset. But Marnie overhears them talking and overhears her destiny to be a witch, and naturally she wants to do it. And her and the brother and the younger daughter end up in Halloweentown. They go by this magical flying bus, and we get a whole adventure, but we get this situation where Halloweentown has hit a bad patch due to the people running it and due to certain other characters around the town. So it's a film which is all about celebrating the spirit of Halloween and kind of giving this moral sort of story to like families, almost to do with like facing up to your responsibilities and certain good old core values, but it's packaging it in this more magical type package. Debbie Reynolds is absolutely delightful in it. She's got so much energy and zest, and there's just something cute about casting her because she is like a classic Hollywood actress. So one of the things which the movie comments on is how the movies can really teach you things. Like the movies can have real value and teach you life lessons, but package it in like a really escapist sort of world. And that's a bit what they're doing with this idea of Halloweentown. So we learn that there's a whole family history. Then the mother has that history as well. She used to be a witch. So even though in many ways, in a real world sense, you would like be on the mother's side, in this sense, it's like the movie is saying she has this history, she has a certain heritage, and she should live up to that. She should face it, and she should just embrace it because it's sort of for the best for the children. And it'll bring the family back together, and also the fact that there's this town, this innocent town, has fallen on the wayside. So it obviously has the workings of a classic escapist sort of fantasy with a bit of a moral tale, and you just see how everything is different in Halloweentown, how there's quirky characters like the taxi driver who's a skeleton. You've got like the double-headed guy who's like the ticket seller at the train office, and also the mayor character. I thought he was like really effective. Like he had this really kind of sort of I don't know, like nerdish, but also very like idiotic kind of manner to him, where he seemed quite naive, but there was a different angle to him as well. But it was just fun watching them having to like step up and figure out how to turn this town around and restore it to the glory days, and there is a message to that in maybe harsher, colder, cynical times, that sometimes some traditions should stay around and are important to community. So you almost have that feel with like the local cinema that isn't showing any movies because it's like closed down, and it just has that kind of message to it where it's packaging it in a very easy to watch like sort of form, but you've got like solid relatable characters, a nice cast of like characters and actors, because I really love the chemistry between the brother and sister and the dynamic. They've got a real sort of banter and rivalry, which I feel touches on something like quite true to like real sort of siblings. So they were a cute like brother and sister, and the brother had a nice sort of arc over the course of the movie. And the sister was like very lively as well, very sort of like likable and grounded. The same actress who was in Rose Red, as Rachel pointed out, Rose Red, which is another review we've done this month. So she was good. Like this was obviously before then, and you could see a lot of potential in that actress. But it's just a fun, quirky movie with a nice sort of sweet message, and just quite light-headed and fun. Or light-hearted and fun, I should say, for the spooky season. A good example of how to do like a good family Halloween movie, which sadly we've sort of lost. This is something we were talking a bit about, with in the Hocus Pocus 2 review, about how everything has to be cynical now, how you can't have like a charming, good old-fashioned, back-to-basic sort of story. So it's something we've lost, and it's a bit of a shame, I think. But Halloweentown is good, solid stuff, and I'll have to check out some of the sequels at some point. I know there's been a few. And then I suggest Mr. Boogedy, which is a slightly different sort of family movie, tapping into more of the macabre, old-fashioned, spooky Halloween, haunted house style vibes. Goes for a little bit more of the gothic, macabre, but also tongue-in-cheek style. I wouldn't say it's cynical, like it does have its heart in the right place, but it definitely has like a sharper sort of wit than something like Halloweentown, which is like more wholesome and kind of fun. But this is more about like scrungy sort of like beings and scrungy effects and what have you, and it feels like a bit more of a traditional like horror style movie, but still with a good family vibe. So you have like this middle class family, I would say they move into a brand new Victorian house, only to find out that there's demons and ghouls in its past, and that it's being overrun by this character called Mr. Boogedy, who's just trying to break loose. He starts putting spells on each one of them. So, like, for example, the son at breakfast the next morning suddenly has these false-looking eyes, and there's a lot of like callbacks to like old kind of style ghost stories or B movies, like with some of the effects. The effects look a bit cheesy, but they're all done in a practical sort of way with a lot of heart and care behind them. And I think Mr. Boogedy himself is just a playful little ghoul who's a lot of fun to watch. That kind of like throwback, like villain or creature. And the family are likable. They've got good chemistry. There's some fun humour in it. So it is going for a bit more of a knockabout slapstick sort of vibe than Halloweentown. I like the casting a lot. You've got Richard Masur, who I know from 6 Feet Under. He plays the dad. And you've got Buffy Summers herself, Kirsty Swanson, who plays the teenage daughter, and she's very sort of sparky in it as well. So you've got a nice family unit, you've got a good look to the house, you've got a spooky sort of vibe, but also a nice charming family sort of story. But probably a good compliment to Halloweentown, where it's like different enough and goes for more horror vibes than that does, I would say. But it's also a nice little short story because it's only like 50 minutes long. Again, it's on DisneyPlus, but 50 minutes long. There is something to be said about that length, and it's a nice little watch. So you could almost watch that and Halloweentown together, and it'd be a fun double bill for the spooky season. And once again, there is a sequel to Mr. Boogedy, so I need to check that out at some point. But thanks for listening. Let me know what you think of these movies, if you've seen them before, in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Also suggest other family orientated Halloween movies that are easy to watch and stream. Let me know your suggestions as well, and I'll be back with another movie review tomorrow. Also, later in the month, me and Rachel McDonald will be back with our top 10 Halloween themed TV episodes, so that should be one of the highlights of this season. So yeah, take care guys, see you again tomorrow.